Greg Hamner has spent a lifetime growing seeds. For 26 years, he cultivated the hearts and minds of students as a teacher while helping run the family seed cleaning business. Today, 7 members of the Hamner and Clemens family work together, preserving heritage grain varieties and striving for genetic improvement in both row crops and cattle.
Everything we produce is for seed. We also have a small herd of registered Black Angus cattle. That's all for seed stock production. We sell bulls, we sell heifers, we show some cattle in conjunction with FFA and 4-H that we're very, very proud of. I'm a former agri-science instructor myself, and I know what it means to be able to help young people.
Although the family business started as a service to local farmers who wanted to save seed to plant the following year, the 2,000-acre farm now grows and cleans soybeans and grain for everything from grist mills to hunting preserves.
We produce multiple GMO as well as non-GMO crops of soybeans, corn, wheat, rye, triticale, and grain sorghum in the form of WGF, which stands for wildlife game food. We do 13 varieties of non-GMO open pollinated seed corn, the old-timey seed corn.
The family also raises commercial grain and soybeans for rotation purposes. Precision agriculture is used to protect the environment, improve efficiency, and maximize the harvest.
It's not just economics, but it's sustainable agriculture in the sense that we're sustaining our soil, and we're really big on cover crops. We're also doing that on the main technology by only applying what's needed and where it's needed. That's not only economical, but in money sense, but it also means that we are maintaining the environment. We're not having runoff into our lakes and streams and so forth. The farmer of the future must be one that is highly environmentally conscious, and that's exactly what we try to do.
Hamner says growing seed grain and top-quality Angus breeding stock is a lot like teaching school. It's all about building on agriculture's legacy while preparing for the future.
The industry that we're in is that, by and large, you get to deal with good, honest people that have strong Christian values. And that's the way we were raised, and that's who we are, and that's who we will continue to be. I've been blessed my entire life to be involved in agriculture because it's something about that attachment to the soil that always brings out the very best and the honesty in people.
Greg and other family members on the farm are leaders in the Alabama Farmers Federation, Alabama Seed Association, Alabama Crop Improvement Association, and other agriculture and community organizations. That's Greg and Diane Hamner of Clemens and Hamner Seed in Lauderdale County. Trey Montgomery could see Levelwood Lodge before anyone else. Standing atop a rocky hillside overlooking an eroded ravine, Trey envisioned a farm where natural resources were carefully managed for wildlife and outdoor recreation.
Well, God gave me a special talent to see raw land and not in its highest and best use. And as I'd walk and work on this land, it revealed more and more of what I want. And I'd share my vision with my wife. Sometimes she'd agree with me and sometimes she wouldn't. But it's turned out real good. We've been real fortunate to be stewards of this land and take it back.
Today, Levelwood spans close to 5,000 acres and is known as a premier destination for hunters and anglers.
We like to classify it as a commercial hunting and fishing lodge. We do all exclusive hunting trips, whitetail deer hunts, turkey hunts, bass fishing trips, dove hunts, and then we do a little venues, weddings and special events like that.
The lodge sleeps up to 20 in 2 buildings, and the Montgomerys provide everything their guests need, from home-cooked meals to professional hunting guides. Now, although Trey didn't grow up on the farm, his decision to move back in 1984 and help his grandfather with a struggling cattle and row crop operation has been rewarded.
I'm a fifth generation Montgomery, and we've been able to turn this land and to raise all of my children on this farm, and they've all grown up here and they got a deep appreciation for this land and what it means. You have to love this business to do it. It's long hours, but it's very rewarding.
Trey and his wife Pam believe in sharing their blessings with others. They frequently host hunts and fishing events for children and military heroes.
We've always wanted to be givers and to give back to our community. And what better way is to bring terminally ill kids in here and host their families. And then the last 8 or 10 years we've been doing the Wounded Warriors. We do a fishing event with them and a hunting event, and that's just been tremendous.
The Montgomery's guest list includes outdoor enthusiasts from 40 states and even overseas. Trey says 70% of his business has been coming to Levelwood for 20 years. Now, that loyalty didn't happen by accident. Trey and Pam cultivated it with Southern hospitality and a management program focused on conservation and genetic improvement.
We saw that it was being highly erodible land, and we were losing 4.4 tons of topsoil per acre per year. The only way to stop it was to build a lake, and that's how we kind of backed into the fishing market. And we got in the breeder business 12, 13 years ago, and we've changed the dynamics of our property that we have in our preserve through our breeder program.
The Montgomerys are leaders in the Utah community, and Trey is past president of the Alabama Farmers Federation State Wildlife Committee. That's Trey and Pam Montgomery of Levelwood Lodge in Greene County. Pinella Farms in Epps is a testament to the resilience of farmers. Conceived as a peach and pecan operation, the land later was home to a sheep herd and feed mill. Today, Sid and Susan Nelson produce catfish and beef on the family farmstead.
My grandfather and grandmother Nelson lived in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. They bought this farm in 1912, and they lived here all the rest of their life and passed it on to my dad. I joined my dad in the operation in 1970, and now he and my mom have passed on, and the farm was passed on to me. So I feel like it's my privilege to be here and to pass it on to future generations.
Each year, the Nelsons harvest about 1.5 million pounds of catfish while caring for almost 300 commercial brood cows. They also sell pecans from what was once a 700-tree orchard, but catfish is the family's main focus.
We built our first ponds in 1980, and the first crop was 1981. That was with 5 ponds, about 60 acres, and over the years we added ponds up until 1997. That's the last time we built ponds, and now we're up to 220 acres.
Altogether, the farm covers more than 2,000 acres. The Nelsons' historic home, filled with antiques dating back to the turn of the century, overlooks ponds teeming with catfish.
In 1981, we were stocking about 1,500 fish per acre. We would stock a 6-inch fish and feed it for 1 year and drain the pond out, clean the pond out, because they were looking for like a pound and a half fish. Now they want fish they can fillet, so they want a 2 to 3 pound fish. It takes 2 years to grow it, and we've gone from 1,500 fish per acre to normal stocking rate now 6 to 8 or 9,000 per acre. We've gone from feeding 50 pounds of feed per acre to 100, 200, 250 pounds per acre.
Genetic improvement, better feed, and the use of aeration have contributed to more efficient production, says Sid, who serves as chairman of the Alabama Catfish Producers. He says the group is currently funding research on disease prevention, as well as promotions aimed at introducing shoppers to healthy and versatile U.S. farm-raised catfish. Meanwhile, Sid is also investing in improving his beef herd.
We're working on grouping up our calving to fall so we can have enough animals to background them and sell them as truckload lots to go to the feed lots, or either we may look into feeding some of our own cattle in feed lots, take them to the next level. That's our goal.
The Nelsons are active in the Alabama Farmers Federation, Sumter County Cattlemen's Association, and Tri-County Co-op. That's Sid and Susan Nelson of Pinella Farms in Sumter County. Thomas Adams believes in making the most of his farmland.
I believe that all land needs a purpose. First and foremost, I'd like to grow peanuts or cotton on it, a row crop. If it's not conducive to that, we'll forage hay fit to feed our cows. If it's not good suited for hay due to stumps or rocks, then we would like to put cattle grazing on it. And if it's not good for grazing, it needs a tree on it. Every acre of land needs to produce something.
That philosophy has helped Thomas and his wife Farah grow their family business to almost 2,000 acres, including 1,500 acres of row crops, 100 beef cows, and 4 poultry houses.
Our row crop operation consists of cotton and peanuts and a few small grains. We grow the small grains to get the cover crop to plant ahead of our cotton and peanuts. In 2017, we had 850 acres of peanuts and 750 acres of cotton, and the remainder was in small grains or hay fields. In 2016, we added 4 poultry houses to our farm. I'm a contract grower for Wayne Farms at the Dothan Complex. It has been a great asset to our farm.
Thomas says he'd like to add 2 more poultry houses, which would also provide additional fertilizer for the cropland. His main focus, however, is making sure the farm is financially sustainable for his children.
I'm doing this for the family. My son is 16 and he is real interested in farming, and I want to have a place for him when he finishes school to come back and farm if that's still his intention. If you don't have family, you don't have much of anything. You can find something to pass time with, but it's much more enjoyable to pass time with your family, and what better place to do it than on a farm.
Thomas is also working to expand on-farm irrigation. Since 2011, he's brought water to 200 acres with the goal of irrigating half his cotton and peanut land. Although Thomas admits he'd rather be on a tractor than sitting in a meeting, he feels a responsibility to represent his fellow farmers with local, state, and national organizations. He's also become a self-described numbers guy, closely monitoring poultry house performance and production costs. Come harvest time, however, you can bet Thomas will be in the field.
I grew up on a farm, and when I was in school and it was a beautiful sunny day, I wonder what they're doing at the farm, especially harvest season. There's no better time to be on a farm than when you're harvesting peanuts or cotton or even corn. The smells and the dust, it really brings out your senses and just gives you that sense of, man, it's great to be alive today. And when you're shut up in a building, you don't get that.
Thomas is a leader in the Alabama Farmers Federation, Alabama Peanut Producers Association, and was recently appointed to the National Peanut Board. That's Thomas and Farah Adams of Henry County. Tyler Sanders started driving a tractor at age 10, and he hasn't looked back.
Whenever I graduated high school, I had a accounting degree, so I went to a local college for about a year. And my grandmother got sick and gave me the opportunity to come back to the farm, so I've been farming here ever since.
Today, Tyler and his wife Madison farm in the Newton community with his father and uncle. It's a multi-generational farm focused on row crops, cattle, and poultry.
Well, this past year we had about 2,000 acres of peanuts that yielded about 3,600 pounds an acre. I had about 500 acres of cotton that yielded about 800 pounds.
The Sanderses also raised chicken for Wayne Farms, which ends up on the menu at places like Chick-fil-A.
Well, we needed a little bit more income from somewhere, and I thought that having chicken houses would be a good income, and we had built 2, and shortly about 2 or 3 months after, we decided we wanted 2 more, so in the process right now of having 2 more built.
Complementing the row crop and poultry business is a commercial beef cattle herd.
We have about 125 head of beef cows. We have around 80 head of purebred and semi-Angus, and the rest are in just regular commercial Angus cows.
Tyler says one of the best things about farming is getting to work with family.
My great-grandfather started off in about 1964, and I'm a fourth generation, and so far it's been my pawpaw, my granddad, my dad, and me. So whenever I went to college, I met my wife Madison, and she, as soon as we got married, it wasn't even a month later that she started helping me on the farm, and she worked with us about a year before getting a job at the local farmers co-op.
Since returning to the farm, Tyler's helped introduce irrigation into the operation, with 60 acres now under center pivot. In the future, he hopes to expand to 6 poultry houses and 200 commercial beef cows. The Sanderses also are conserving natural resources by using no-till practices on 1,000 acres.
My granddad always told me that you work for the farm don't work for you, and it's something that you gotta love to be able to do. Land is our livelihood, and we have to take care of it if we want to continue doing what we love to do.
The Sanderses are involved with the Alabama Farmers Federation and Alabama Farmers Cooperative. That's Tyler and Madison Sanders of Houston County. While most teenage boys were chasing girls and cruising the town, John DeLoach was rounding up calves and hauling hay.
So I was 13 whenever my grandfather passed away. Grandmother talked about selling the farm. We talked about it. Decided I'd come every day after school to help her. Did that. At 16, when I graduated high school, I pretty much took over running front of the, making the decisions on the farm. And then we started building our own herd, progressed from there. We used to haul cows at nighttime and work here during the day.
26 years later, John and his wife Kate have one of the most productive row crop farms in central Alabama. But the transition from managing his grandmother's beef cows to growing corn, cotton, and soybeans wasn't easy.
We rented 30 acres that joined us. The first year I planted with a 2-row planter, had no idea what I was doing. I had old 1-row ear snapper. I picked it 1 row at a time with a dump truck that I built out of scrap material and a pitchfork to shovel that stuff and fork it around.
Today, the 1,325-acre farm, which has been in the DeLoach family since 1820, includes 375 acres of cotton, 250 acres of soybeans, 200 acres of wheat, and 150 acres of hay.
We try to make every acre we have count for something. We don't want any acre left just sitting idle that we're not doing something with.
John's land management plan includes 20 acres of improved wetlands where he regulates water levels to provide food and habitat for waterfowl. A big part of what makes John's farm distinct, however, is its yields. Last year he harvested 180 bushels of corn, 65 bushels of soybeans, and 1,150 pounds of cotton per acre. He says planting test plots with seed companies and university researchers has paid dividends.
The test plots allow us to not only enhance the industry, it allows us to know what grows on our particular soils. We don't do the test plot in the same field the same year. We rotate those around through the farm so we know what does best where. And we've gained a lot of information doing that.
John and Kate also give back to the community by hosting events in their camp house, which features tin and hand-hewn beams from the original farmhouse. As for the future, John and his son Jess are working to add honeybees, a vineyard, and agritourism to the farm. The thought of passing the farm on to the next generation stirs strong emotions.
We coin phrases such as stewards of the land. Our land is our legacy. Those are catchphrases you hear time and time again. We feel what an honor it is to have the opportunity to take care of this land for a lifetime. And what a responsibility it is to pass that on to future generations.
John's a member of the Agricultural Leaders for Alabama class and is active in the Alabama Farmers Federation, Alabama Cattlemen's Association, and Alabama Farmers Cooperative. He and Kate have been recognized at the state and national levels for their community service. That's John, Kate, and Jess DeLoach of Shelby County.